Hey, it is our planting another rose day. So what we have here is like a little hedge of roses with our lavender. So when we first moved in, we planted a whole bunch of lavender, just plunked it in, and it wasn't ideal where we had it. So when we planted that nectarine tree, we moved a whole bunch of lavender over here. Lavender is really good to have around the base of roses, as long as you keep it about a foot away from your rose. Roses will bloom and flourish up here on the top, but it's nice to have lavender around the base. Now that this area's all been worked, we're transplanting our lavender over into this area to put in with our roses. But while we're at it, we're going to add another rose to our little rose hedge here. These are both hybrid tea roses. These ones here are called Moonlight in Paris. Looks almost more like a peony. These ones are very full. They fade from a peach to kind of light pink, beautiful, almost like a white. And this one we haven't tried yet, so this one's new for us, but it's in the same theme. Francis Mion. When they first come up here, they have that nice burgundy color to them, and then they will mature into a dark green leaf. So I want to make sure I keep my plants looking beautiful and healthy, but I also want to have enough to cut them and take them in the house, which is why you can never have too many roses. So we're going to keep adding a few more so we have enough to enjoy them outside as well as snip snip and take them inside. So yeah, we're going to do that with the lavender. We want to have lots of lavender for outside, but we want to have so much that we won't miss it if we cut the lavender or the roses and take a few inside. Roses are heavy feeders. They like a really good soil, composty area. So I will fertilize these in the beginning of spring with a rose fertilizer just bought from the local nursery. And I just mulch it really well, and they like a lot of water. So once a week you're going to deep water your roses. The lavender not so much, although lavender appreciate a little water, not as much as your roses. And especially during a drought, I found I had better luck with lavender if I did water them a little bit. Even though they're drought tolerant, I still like to give them a little bit of water. So you can just water around the base of your roses. You want to make sure it's well draining soil. You don't want these to be in stagnant or standing water. The roots will rot if they don't drain well, so you want to make sure you have good drainage. Once these ones get to be 3 or 4 feet high, and this one's going to get a little bit taller, it says up to 6 feet. So you want to get these into full sun if you can, because we want them all to be in full sun. We're bending our hedge around this way as the sun comes that way. We don't want them to shade each other, which works well with our pathway as it curves anyhow and goes into our little woodland area up here. Just make sure you buy roses that are appropriate to your zone, and then bury that bud union a little bit below the ground. And the lavender keep them kind of however they come in the pot. Keep it level with that when you're planting your lavender. You don't have to dig too deep. You just want it to be as deep as you want that rose to be permanently, but you can go a little wider and work a little bit of the outside. Make sure it's, nice and easy for those roots to get growing. So you can see we've come out here pretty good, and we're going to do the same a little bit around here. But this was really easy to dig. This soil has been well worked, so I'm not too worried. This rose will be just fine. So what we're going to do now is press on the edges of the pot to help loosen the soil. It might be pretty loose. If it was freshly potted at the nursery, it might be kind of loose already. So I'm just going to gently pull that out. Yeah, so you can see these are pretty loose. Okay, that's all good. Now, since all that soil came out of the pot, I'm going to have to just make sure I still can plant this deep enough. So I'm just going to move that out of the way. And we've got some really good roots growing there, so you can see that. Now I just got to decide which way I want it to face. Yeah, so great. All right. Wait, this part here is that bud union, so that you want it planted below, slightly below ground level there. If you live in a colder climate, you might want to plant it even deeper than that. So that's what we're gonna do. Oh, I wanna get this tag off. I don't like any tags left on because you can cut into the stems. Planted that bud union just below the ground. You can see what a nice burgundy color that is. And then the foliage is a nice dark green. So that'll be lovely with those pink blossoms. So good, now we do the lavender. And now we're gonna make some room for the lavender. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lavender in this little area. So I'm gonna kind of sort of repeat that process over yonder here. So you just wanna make sure you're getting as much of the root as possible. So you want to go a little ways around and as deep as you can. Do a circle. Oh, we're hitting rocks. That's what we should have dug out before we planted, but oops. So that's why we're moving these, and we're going to work all this soil and remove some of those rocks, and then planting will be much easier in the future. So I just wanted to touch on the watering again, because we've talked about how to water once they've been established, but let's talk about when they're freshly transplanted or freshly planted. So when you first put your roses in the ground or your transplants in the ground, for the first week you want to make sure you're watering at the base every day, and the second week you want to water every other day at the base so they can get nice and settled in. Beyond that, you want to water them still probably twice, maybe 3 times a week, depending on your area, depending on if there's rainfall. Because remember, those little guys' roots are going to just be in this small area. It's going to take them a while to grow beyond that and to get down into the nice earth around them. So you'll have to be their help with the watering. Just make sure they're well drained. But other than that, keep an eye on them. Make sure they're well watered for the first season. Apparently, garlic is supposed to be good to help keep blackspot away. Since we have so much blackspot out here, I'm going to give it a try. So I actually have a little garlic planted by this one, but I'm going to pop in a few more garlic just around my roses, and let's see if it helps. So there's my garlic. I'm just going to, and I already had a few right in there. So yeah, so I'm just popping that in there. You can barely see it, that's fine. And we'll see if it helps. So the next thing we're gonna do is grab the mulch. So I don't go too thick with the mulch. I go maybe 1 inch or 2. I've found I'd like to get water through. And if you're watering at the base, and it's not a problem, But if you want to kind of water around and you have mulch, 4 inches of mulch, you're going to be watering your mulch, really. So unless there's nothing growing around, like say over here, you could do 4 inches of mulch over here and it wouldn't matter. But plus all the bees are making their little homes around all in this area. So I don't really want to bury them. So I'm just going to go 1 inch, maybe 2 in some places, and that's it for the mulch. But it's enough, it will help. It will help lock the moisture in. So that's our little rose and lavender hedge that we want to get growing right up to the woodland little area. So, and we're super excited to see how this little guy turns out and how all these blossoms look. So we just want to give you some ideas, get your little rose shrub growing. And thanks for popping by, and we'll catch you on the next one. Ooh, don't fall in the rose bed. Happy roses!